UFC 263 is this upcoming Saturday, and my lock pick for your gamble right now at DraftKings, it's minus 500 for Leon Edwards, and I would say that's the lock pick of the night just because it is almost guaranteed money. Nate Diaz is a star. He's an undeniable superstar, and don't get me wrong, we all love Nate Diaz. However, Leon Edwards is just too much for him, especially at 170. His stand-up game is miles ahead of Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz's jiu-jitsu can come into play. However, I just don't think Nate Diaz has the wrestling and strength to take Leon Edwards down at welterweight. He is the lock pick, and if you like to get a little bit more riskier with your lock pick, you can probably take Leon Edwards for a late fourth or fifth round finish, maybe even in the third. However, it's more likely he gets a unanimous decision victory after a beatdown of Nate Diaz. But if minus 500 doesn't do it for you, there's someone in the main event that you might want to bet on, and that is the Italian stallion, Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori is being overlooked in this fight, and if he can get Israel Adesanya down more than 4 to 5 times in that fight, he could pull off a decision victory and even maybe a late submission victory, just because we've seen Israel Adesanya on the ground a couple of times, hasn't looked too good. And if Marvin Vettori gets him down in the middle of the cage, it's going to become a very interesting main event. And for all the casual fans out there that don't know Vettori quite well yet, that man can fight.
All right, here's my lock of the night for UFC 263 this Saturday. We have a pair of title fights, which is always great. Nate Diaz's return, which is a nice little curveball that's kind of stealing the spotlight, so that's always fun. My lock of the night comes a little bit further down the main card, and it is a bout between BELAL Muhammad and Damian Maia. I think this is a really interesting matchup. We've seen the old tale of the bustling prospect and the grizzled vet who's kind of at the final leg of their career a few times this year. I think it's been really catching on, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing today with Damian Maia, kind of towards the end of at least his reign. I mean, he's been in the UFC for forever, so he hasn't really beat anyone notable. I mean, he beat Ben Askren a few years ago, but he hasn't won, a really highly anticipated bout since 2017 when he beat Jorge Masvidal. So he's taken a lot of damage and a few big losses: Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley, Kobe Covington, and the likes. So I think he's kind of towards that end of the career stage, at least of contending, that we're seeing from a lot of guys. And on the flip side, Muhammad is rising really, really quickly. Unfortunately, he had that eye poke from Leon Edwards just a few months ago. But other than that, he's rocking a 4-fight win streak. Hasn't lost since 2019. Has been very active in that way. So I'm leaning on BELAL Muhammad. He's like minus 250-ish. Usually that's too high of odds for me to take on a single, but that is my lock of night. I feel confident about it despite the odds being pretty high. Not a ton of return on investment there, but it is a great bet to throw in a parlay if you want to kind of boost the odds a little bit. I really feel confident about this, and I also like Muhammad by points. I think that this could go to decision, especially if he really grinds it out, and even if Damian Maia can get some takedowns or whatever he wants to do, that'll just kind of further the time towards a decision. So I think Muhammad's going to come out on top. If you take him by decision, that's plus 110. At least you can get a little more value out of that. If you're a high roller and want to take Muhammad by submission, which would be a wild pick, that's plus 2,600. So your $100 bet would win $2,600, which is pretty wild. I'm not going to go with that. My lock of the night, BELAL Muhammad money line, maybe sprinkle in some by points, just to make it a little more worth the value. But tune in this Saturday night, UFC 263. That is my lock of the night.
What's up, guys? Sean Lennon here with the Fightlete Report and my lock of the night for UFC 263. In a card that has a lot of great fights, some very close matchups. You know which fight I'm looking forward to the most? Of course, it's got to be Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. But if you want to see my lock of the night, hear my lock of the night, I'm going a little bit down the card, down a ways to Paul Craig and Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill is a minus 286, a favorite. Paul Craig is a plus 225 underdog. What I do like about Paul Craig in this fight is the amount of times he's really been counted out and come out on top with a big win. He's also been the guy that has taken on much tougher competition than his opponent Jamal Hill at this point. He's 14-4-1. He's obviously fighting from the Scottish Hit Squad. I like that. I like the way he comes out. Very aggressive fighter. He's beaten Mauricio Shogun Hua in the past. He's beaten Magomed Ankalaev coming back from behind in the third round with a big triangle. And a lot of tough fighters. And I think that in this fight, if it goes to the ground, Paul Craig can lock up a submission real quick if you want to do the prop bet. That's a possibility, but I see him being Jamal Hill in this fight, who is a younger guy, a kid who is undefeated, 8-0, and obviously did a lot of things right to get to where he is today. But you look at who he's being, OSP, Stozic, not guys who I would feel are much challenging for him. So I think this will be his first real test, and I think that Paul Craig will come out on top. Again, I'm looking at DraftKings.com, and basically Paul Craig is a plus 225 against the favorite Jamal Hill, a minus 286. You could win some additional money if you put in a prop bet to be either finishing like the second, the third round, or by submission. So I think that's my lock of the night. I'm Sean Lennon. Stay tuned for the Fightlete Report.